Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? Alright, man, so a couple things to talk about with this heavyweight division right now. Shouts out to a subscriber of mine, Jimmy Tofa, I believe that's how you pronounce the brother's name. But he wanted to know my opinion about this Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker. Now, right now, they're targeting the date for October 26th, I believe. October 26th. And I know right now, I read an article on Boxing Scene not too long ago that Joseph Parker and his team, they're, threatening to, pull out that fight if certain drug testing protocol is not put in place. All right. So going into a fight, I can't blame Parker or anybody for wanting, proper drug testing protocol to be put in place. And if it's not to their liking, then, we possibly won't get this fight. Now, as far as the style breakdown of the fight, just the overall matchup. Now, I gave my opinion about it before, so I'll do it again. When it comes to Derek Chisora, man, and anybody that fights in his manner and that style, that come forward aggressive style like that, they'll take one to land two. There comes a point in time, man, where it's like, how much more does a guy like that have? You know what I mean? How many more fights does Derek Chisora have like that? We're not sure. You know what I mean? Even the Carlos Takam fight, he came back and he won that fight in dramatic fashion. You know what I mean? But you put a little pressure on Chisora. He's a different fighter, right? Because he wants to come forward. He wants to be the aggressor, or at the very least, match your aggression. You know what I mean? If he's not just a full, bull in the fight, he at least wants to match with what it is you're able to do. All right, and that's why him and Dillian White, even though the second fight ended in dramatic knockout of Takam, I'm sorry, not Takam, but Chisora, even though it ended in a dramatic knockout loss for him, you could argue that he was winning that fight, man. You could argue that he won the first fight, you know what I mean? But he was able to match White, as far as aggression and just pace of the fight, things like that, all right? Now, I think that Joseph Parker has way better legs than Dillian White. He's much more fluid as a fighter. Just his style is a lot different, and I think that style will give Chisora even more problems, because I think Parker has the ability to make Chisora chase after him a little bit, but not to the point where he's chasing after him to where he's trying to just disengage from any type of action, but just move. And I think Parker would be able to pot shot from the outside, make him miss from the outside, pot shot from the outside, make him miss from the outside, and then when they do engage and they do get close and are throwing punches, I think Parker has way more speed than Derek Chisora, and I think he can match him power for power. You know what I mean? So I think he has different ways of beating Chisora, man. Chisora's been in a lot of wars, man. You know what I mean? A lot of his fights are just wars. But yeah, I think Parker can kind of mix together somewhat, kind of what Ajay Cabell was able to do as far as the throwing combinations moving. I think he can step in and place hard shots. Chisora is there to be hit, and if Dillian White can get his punch off, I'm sure as hell that Parker can get his punch off and move. All right? Parker's going to have to be on the lookout for big left hooks and overhand rights. I mean, especially if he decides to fight as a tall fighter in the fight, and he's not going to bend at the waist a little bit and move and fight like that. Depends on the type of fight that he fights. But if he goes in there straight up and tries to fight straight up and in close, and he doesn't move like he should be able to, you can see him getting hit with some overhands. You know what I mean? But I see Joseph Parker win that fight. Then youth is on his side as well, and I'm just not sure how many more fights Chisora has like that, and I wouldn't bet and I wouldn't put my money on Chisora beating Parker by decision. You know what I mean? And I think Parker has a tough enough chin to where he can stand up to what Derek's going to dish out, and I think he'll have chances in the fight to where he's not just going to engage with Derek, you know what I mean, and just give him opportunity after opportunity to try to go to war with him. So I see Joseph Parker winning that fight, but I think it's a hell of a good test right now for Parker. It seems like all the top, everybody's pretty busy right now, so to me this isn't a bad fight. But I would love to see him fight like an Ajay Cabell. And I know some of these guys probably got other things going on, or they're in negotiations for other fights. But I would like to see a fight like that. You know what I mean? Parker gives somebody with an undefeated record, who's right on the verge of cracking, you know, like a sanctioned body top 10, or they are already may be in a sanctioned body top 10, but to kind of prove themselves against Parker. I mean, not to, you know, put Parker at some gatekeeper status, but, you know, he has, you know, a couple losses, which is an end of his career. But I would like to see him give a guy like Caballel a chance. You know what I mean? I'm just using him as an example, but just, you know, guys like that. But, however, he wants to go in there right now and fight somebody with the name. You can fight him, you know what I mean? Fight somebody with the name and look impressive. You know what I mean? So I understand what he's doing. That was just my personal preference as far as him fighting like a Caballel. Plus, Caballel beat Chisora. You know what I mean? And I think Caballel was on the verge of fighting somebody, man. I know he has that EBU title, and it was somebody supposed to, like, do a mandatory defense against, I believe. But don't mark my words on that. All right? What else going on there? Oh, got a chance to check out my man Filip Hrgovic, his victory over Mario Heredia. Stoppage victory. Hey, I will say this, man. Heredia, you don't get brownie points for this, but Heredia came to fight, man. He was kind of trying to attack Hrgovic's body. But just Hrgovic had too much firepower, man. He was landing that jab, that little awkward, like an overhand straight right that he kept landing on Heredia. Heredia could not get out the way of that punch, man. He just got overpowered. You know what I mean? But he definitely went to Hrgovic's body, and you can tell that there's going to be some situations. Hrgovic is a guy that I've been following since 2015 when he was I always got to throw this in there, man, because I'm not just a fly-by-night Hrgovic fan, you know what I mean? But he was a guy that I've been keeping an eye on when he was still amateur, and I actually did a video on him. And I think the video was like Hrgovic, the next champion, or the next heavyweight, or the future heavyweight champion, or something like that. I did that video in 2015 when he was still an amateur, man, but has a lot of amateur experience, and that helped out in this fight, because some guys, man, you know, they see a guy like Heredia. Heredia had a split decision victory over, I believe it was split decision over Samuel Peter a couple months ago. Yes, I know it's a old version of Samuel Peter, but he's one of those type of guys, man, those type of journeymen that'll give prospects a run for their money, like he did with George Arias, and he may pick up a victory over old Sam Peter. You know what I mean? He's one of those type of guys. I know he fought Parker in the amateurs as well. That fight's on YouTube, pretty good scrap. But Heredia was going to that body. He had a game plan. It was to go to the body and try to finish up top with overhands. You know, I know he's inspired by, you know what I mean, Andy Ruiz. The fight was actually in Mexico as well. So he came out inspired, you know, but Hrgovic did what he was supposed to do. Now, like I was going to say, there is some spots in there where when Hrgovic is at close range, you will have an opportunity to unload on him. And Heredia was landing some good right and left hook body shots on him, man, when they were in close, like that in close moment. You know what I mean? I think Hrgovic is at his best when he gets to fight you from a distance, but then he can jump in and out a little bit with jab right hands. And I noticed that he likes to change up his rhythm. He'll kind of fight you at one speed. He'll jab at one speed and then step in with a fast jab 1-2. You know what I mean? So he loves to do that. Not the fastest guy, but a lot of experience, good power. But again, like with him and Jagba and Dubois and all these other guys, man, just want to see more of them and just want to keep seeing them develop as a pro, man. You know what I mean? But he's sparred Klitschko, Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? I like Hrgovic, man. But yeah, did what he's supposed to do against Heredia. Heredia did come to lay down. I'll give him that much. You know what I mean? What else? What else? Talked about Hrgovic, Parker, Chisora. There was another bout that I was thinking about, man. Let me see here. Something else I want to talk about. Oh, then I seen somewhere where Daniel Dubois, he brought up possibly wanting to fight like a David Price, and I'm glad the kid isn't just jumping out the window, because even with a guy like Hrgovic, I'm seeing a lot of people say, oh, just throw, you know, I would love to see this guy fight Dillian White or Jarrell Miller or this guy or that guy. And it's like, now maybe 5 years from now, maybe that will be the case where we can look back and say, you know what, man, Daniel Dubois could have fought a guy like Jarrell Miller in his 10th fight if he wanted to, 8th, 9th fight. You know what I mean? We may look at it in 5 years and say that, but to me, if I'm bringing up a prospect, man, yes, I'm gonna get you in there with guys, you know, some good tough journeymen, probably some guys that competed for a title and came up short, build you up. I don't think, you know, fans, you know, and I know a lot of fans want to see like a Dubois versus Dillian White. I would watch the fight. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I wouldn't tune in, but I don't think he's ready for those type of fights. So I'm glad that Dubois is saying, hey, give me a guy like David Price. He brought Price up, you know, and I think that'd be a good test. A guy like Price, been knocked out several times. It'd be a good domestic clash. You know what I mean? That fight will sell crazy in the UK. It'd be a good domestic clash rather. And but I think he even kind of knows, and I've heard him say, hey man, in a couple years or, you know, some fights, I'll be ready for the top guys, you know, but not right now. And I like the fact that his team so far is, you know, they put him in that domestic clash with Nathan Gorman, a good matchup of undefeated prospects, you know what I mean, battling for who's the top prospect in their country. I like those type of fights, but I think that he knows that he's not quite ready yet. And I think that's smart on his part, man. You know what I mean? Now, he doesn't have the amateur experience of a guy like Hrgovic or somebody like that, but just the fact that he knows he's not quite ready yet. Because you don't want to rush these guys too soon, man. He's a young kid, you know what I mean? Or he's a younger guy. A kid, you know what I mean? But I want to see more of him. Yeah, let me get to this. I don't know how I almost forgot this one. Povetkin versus Hughie Fury. And I'm going to end it with this, all right? First of all, the size difference I thought would be much more significant when I seen these guys. Was that article today? It was either today or yesterday where I seen them at the presser, and they took pictures shaking hands with each other, man. Wow. Now I know on paper they list Hughie at what, 6'6", and Povetkin at like 6'1", 6'2", but it seemed even closer than that when they were standing next to each other. Maybe because of different type of shoes they're wearing. But either way, Hughie Fury is the taller, you know, fighter. But I thought the height would be much more significant in person. All right, but I guess we'll see on fight night when they're in the ring with each other. But anyways, Hughie Fury has the youth and the style to bother a guy like Povetkin and actually beat him. Look, Hughie Fury, I know he's a young fighter. Been in there with Parker, been in there with Pulev, and I thought the Parker fight was hella close. I had Parker winning 6-5-1 after the fight. Thought it was a close fight. You know, Hughie Fury is good at moving laterally. He has pretty good hand speed, pretty good pop on his jab when he really wants to lay into the jab and really stick it out there and pop it out there. Now, when I was watching the Pulev fight, I went back and I watched the Pulev fight again, and I forget which, it was like round 6, 7, or 8. You guys know the round I'm talking about, where Hughie Fury was putting them hands on Pulev, man, letting his hands go. And that's the thing sometimes that Hughie doesn't do enough of, is sit down on punches and just let them go. You know what I mean? Now, some people say, oh, it's because he had a cut over his eye, or because he had the acne disease or whatever that he was battling a few years ago or whatever. You could say, you know, give me an assortment of reasons, but to me, when he sits down in his punches and just let his hands go, man, and just show that hand speed and let it go in spurts and then move around a little bit and stop and let him go again, and that type of thing. When he fights like that, Hughie Fury is a very tough fighter to fight. You know what I mean? But just strictly just trying to move and pot shot here and there, I don't think that's enough. Now, if he had the power of a Lennox, I remember Lennox would do that in some of his fights where he would kind of step away, tie up a little bit. Even Vladimir would do it where they were pot shot, but they're pot shotting with knockout power pot shots, though. You know what I mean? And I don't think Hughie Fury has that type of power. But I definitely think he has a style to beat Povetkin, man. You know, I believe he has the hand speed advantage, the reach. I believe he has the reach. I didn't look it up, but I would assume that he has the reach. But he's the much taller fighter, and he fights a lot taller. You know what I mean? Povetkin is a come forward guy, but like I always say about Povetkin, he is a patient come forward guy. He will put the high guard up and kind of work behind the jab. Sometimes I think Povetkin does, I think he throw single shots sometimes, to where I think that hinders him when he could just let punches go. And instead of the, first shot trying to be a knockout shot, probably throw a 3-4 punch combination and let that third or fourth punch be the punch you're really trying to place in there. You know what I mean? But he loves the left hook. He loves the overhand rights. He likes to get close. You know what I mean? And I think on the outside, I see Hughie Fury outboxing him, moving him, or just moving around laterally, using his jab, using that hand speed, being able to pull back. When Povetkin is trying to throw big hooks, pull back and then counter Povetkin like that. I think Povetkin will have to try to chop him down, man. Go to his body, cut the ring off, and just let his hands go as well. Don't wait. You know what I mean? I understand you don't want to go out there and just get countered, you know what I mean? But at the same time, this guy has to use it, man. So I will put my money on Hughie Fury's legs. The thing is, with Hughie though, man, is will he have enough firepower to keep Povetkin honest? And does he have enough firepower to stop him in his tracks? And I think he does, because speed is power, man. And if Povetkin doesn't see some of these flurries come, I can see him getting peppered. You know what I mean? Now, like I said, I think Povetkin's going to have to go to that body and then finish with combinations upstairs. Because coming out just trying to headhunt or trying to just go jab for jab, I think that could get him in trouble. Because if Pulev was having some issues going jab for jab with Fury at times, I think he'll get Povetkin just hell. And then it gets to the point where, again, kind of like with Chisora, getting up there in age, Povetkin got to be, 40 years old now or something like that, or close to 40. How much more does he have left? You know what I mean? Now, he has some very good rounds against AJ. He was actually winning some rounds. He won rounds against AJ. You know what I mean? Not just some. He won a few rounds against AJ. You know what I mean? So I definitely think he'll be able to stand up to what Hughie possesses as far as power. I just think it's going to come down to how Hughie handles Povetkin on the inside. If Povetkin can have his way on the inside, he's going to have a chance of winning his fights. I think he can hurt. I believe he still has the power to hurt a guy like Hughie Fury. Hughie Fury's going to have to tie him up, man. Tie up that left arm, kind of like what Holyfield did against Mike Tyson, or what Lennox Lewis did against David Tua. I'm not saying that it's the same type of guys' styles are exactly the same, but I think he can use some of those methods, man. Especially with a guy like Povetkin that wants to let the left hook go, tie up his left arm, and then waltz him around and let the ref break him, and then get right back to the jab. Right in the center of the ring, get right back to the jab, and frustrate Povetkin, man. I'm gonna say the third time's gonna be a charm. I think Hughie Fury is gonna get it done. Now, if this was a couple years ago, man, maybe just a year ago, yeah, if this fight was last year, I would go with Povetkin, but I just think I'm gonna go on a limb and just pick Hughie, all right, in this fight. Now, if this was last year, like I said, I would have picked Povetkin, all right. But that's my opinion, man, on this Povetkin versus Hughie Fury fight and the Chisora Parker situation, and what I thought of Filip Hrgovic. Also, Evgeny Romanov, I know he picked up a victory. I believe he's like 14 or 15-0 now. His fame comes from, he's the guy that stopped Deontay Wilder. So when you go on YouTube, you look at Deontay Wilder getting stopped in the amateurs, he's the guy that did it. I know he cracked one of the sanctioning, but I believe the WBOs, I think he cracked the WBOs top 10 or something like that, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he picked up a victory. You know what I'm saying? So, man, you know what? If that guy keeps climbing up the ranks and he stays undefeated, keep climbing up the ranks and stays undefeated, if there was ever a time where Deontay Wilder had some time where, let's say, some guys were busy that he wanted to fight, and he just couldn't get a fight lined up. Guys got, all the other top 10 type guys got fights coming up, and he needed just like a little stay busy. I hate using the term stay busy, but like just a in-between type fight. And Romanov keeps staying undefeated and cracks a top 10, you know what I mean? I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. Again, I'm not saying I want to see it next, so please don't take that out of context. Oh, Mr. Boxing wants to see. No, I mean, if the circumstances were right, you know what I mean? I think they could sell that type of fight, especially if everybody else was busy. Like if Ruiz is busy and Tyson Fury and just all the top guys, Anthony Joshua, the guys that are top guys right now, Dillian White, all those guys, if they were busy, Jarrell Miller, all of them, and he just needed some type of fight, he needed a name. You know what I mean? Kind of like when he was put in the situation with Areola and when he was trying to fight Rodriguez and guys like that. I know there were different circumstances that went along, but that's what I'm saying. If the stars align the right way, I wouldn't mind seeing that, especially if Romanov continues to be undefeated and wins and keep winning in impressive fashion and getting knockouts. It wouldn't be, and that happens a lot. You see guys fight guys that probably beat them in the amateurs, or, Mike Tyson fought Henry Tillman, stuff like that. You go on and on, man. But that's my opinion. But I would love to see Romanov fight guys like Junior Fa right now, or Tyrone Spong. I thought I seen Tyrone Spong name being attached to Usyk, because I know Usyk and Takam first it was going to take place, and it wasn't, and it was, and I was not. I don't know what's going on with that, but I seen some article. I didn't really get a chance to read the article where it was Usyk and Spong, so I don't know how true that is or what's going on with that. But I see Usyk totally dominating Tyrone Spong if they were to fight. You know what I mean? Spong would definitely have a puncher's chance, but I see Usyk beating him, man. Moving around, peppering him with shots. Probably even out fighting him on the inside. But that's just my opinion on a few heavyweight topics, man. Y'all let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm gone.